How's it going? Welcome to our DAP or Don't Argue podcast. Hope you guys are well. Thank you again for tuning in. It is my second installment of the DAP Show, or the DAP Show, if you will. Yes, I am here. I'm going to be talking about Fremantle. I guess a more in-depth approach into our game against the Saints, and I suppose in saying that as well, looking to our game against North Melbourne in a not necessarily a do-or-die clash, but to be fair with you, given the game against the Saints, one would argue that this is a very important game, particularly now, especially when a lot of us, I guess you can say, had Fremantle, coming in probably, looking at 2 wins in a row. Now we've obviously got a bit of a challenge to sort of face. Sorry, but in saying that as well, I hope you guys are well. Thank you again for tuning in, and with all that being said, howdy. And we'll just get straight into it. The show will be about 20 minutes to 30 minutes long, give or take. So that's the aim. Anyway, so we all know what happened, right? Fremantle went over to Marvel Stadium, went into Victoria, and unfortunately we got our butts handed to us, losing to the Saints 67 points to 52, 10-7 Saints, and 7-10 Fremantle. Saints winning by 15 points there. This game here for mine, as I spoke to you guys last week, Wobbling Jaw, who will hopefully be on again. Basically, we had this game here as a win. Why? Because we just trust our team, right? There was a lot of confidence that we had with this team here going forward. And I suppose at the same time as well, we were versing a team in the Saints that were undermanned, so to speak, right? As I jokingly said in my review of the game, most of their starters were watching the game from a hospital ward. And so with that in mind, I just confidently said that we would win. There was no issue with that. I'm sure if you were looking at Fremantle, what we've been doing this season, particularly in the preseason, you would have thought the same. Unfortunately, it was not the case. And if truth be told, things got dire very early. And I think we could probably see that in the early exchanges of the game there. And I guess in saying hello. First of all, hello, Damar. Hey, Nicholas, how are you? A number of AFL coaches and media pundits have said that AFL matches are too long with a 2-minute reduction per quarter favoured. Well, just quickly, I don't mind that personally. I don't mind that. However, in saying that, obviously the 2 minutes extra also adds more to the drama, and I think the potential to win. Obviously, the lesser the games are played, obviously the less minutes less minutes in the game played, the less chance you could probably say a team has to come back, right? Draw it up or whatever you have. So I suppose as is my preference. However, I do see the other end, right, of the coin, saying to reduce minutes. I get it, I totally do. But we saw a little preview of it in 2020, and it was okay. It was okay. Wasn't my favorite year personally, but it is what it is. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we get back straight into it. So, unfortunately, this game in for mine was, as the game started, the game, in my opinion, it was over. It was over before it started. You could sort of see the momentum shift, the momentum change. And I'll be honest with you guys, like as soon as I suppose Saints sort of got going, I wasn't happy that Fremantle weren't able to really combat what was happening in front of them. And I suppose for us, we rely so much on our defense. And granted, our defense was good on the back line, right? The likes of Pierce, Ryan, I get it, absolutely. But unfortunately, though, it just wasn't the case, particularly connection from the mids to the forwards. Now, I don't like saying this, but Brayshaw, Sarong, and a few of the other members in the midfield got beaten well. And if it wasn't well, they got beaten anyway, regardless, right? And it just wasn't a good look, right? And I'm going to quickly just read some of the stats here, just to sort of give you guys a bit of a bit of context into what I'm talking about as well. And again, feel free to ask more questions, and we will just go from there. Okay. So basically, the way that this went, so obviously you had the likes of, the backs I talked about, right? Alex Pierce and co. They were good, but in the midfield in particular, just to get back into it, you had the likes of Will Brodie, right? Brayshaw, right? I would even say that even Darcy and Patches. I mean, Darcy won most of the hit-outs, but yet we couldn't do anything with it. And that was the most frustrating part of the game too, is winning the hit-outs against the opposition there, but we couldn't convert anything. And when we went up forward, obviously we got the 10 behinds there. It was frustrating because, granted, though we struggled in the midfield, when we did get it over, our kickers weren't kicking. Our forwards weren't doing what they're supposed to do, and that is get goals. And I'm sorry to say this, but a lot of what I saw against that Saints game reminded me of the bad stuff that Fremantle have been battling with, not only just last season, granted it was a good one, but in previous seasons as well, right? The whole goal-kicking aspect, the this, the that. And I was just left perplexed. I really was, genuinely. Now, again, I don't want to say this, but I'm also going to say this as well. Luke Jackson was a bit of a letdown. Now, it's a big statement to make, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean that in the sense that we have basically virtually sold the house for this dude. We virtually sold the house for this guy, and he basically didn't give us what we wanted. Now, could you say it was round one jitters? Potentially. I mean, yeah, sure. Right? We all sort of go there, we get there. However, saying that, it just wasn't what I expected. I needed more from him. I wanted more from Luke Jackson, respectfully. I wanted more, and it just wasn't the case. Right? Instead, I will quickly read the comments. I'm a Hawthorn man, but really enjoy listening to you. Thanks, appreciate it, Nicholas. Appreciate it, and I appreciate your support as well. And anyway, we'll keep on going nonetheless. So, yeah, and again, I suppose I'll just point out some other characters too, like players. Nat Fyfe in particular, very unfortunate that he played the way he did. And I get it, right? It's Nat Fyfe. It's who he, he's this guy that's who we appreciate absolutely, but it wasn't. Yeah, respectfully, it just wasn't what I wanted to see, honestly, especially from Nat Fyfe. Now, Liam Henry had a game to remember, arguably his best game in Fremantle colours. The next question is, what can he do, right? Can he continue to produce? I suppose that's just another thing we're going to be looking at, right? As I sort of skim through these players here, as I said, Brayshaw and co, Tabner, the injury, again, it's not great. Granted, Sarong and Brayshaw, though they played well, it wasn't the best. Josh Tracy as well. Josh Tracy. Look, JT, I think respectfully, if this guy doesn't improve any faster this season, I think it's best or safe to say that we probably need to throw him out. Respectfully, I like what Josh Tracy brings. He brings size, he brings toughness, he brings this rawness about him. But if nothing is actually progressing on field, on oval, so to speak, then I don't want him. Right, respectfully, I don't. What I saw there was abysmal. Granted, he got one goal, but I just don't think it was enough. Again, Josh Tracy, I get it, he's in development, but let's not pretend like this is his first rodeo. He's experienced enough to be able to handle these big pressure situations. And granted, you wanted to see more from him against the Saints pack, particularly because they were undermanned. Particularly because the Saints pack, it was undermanned. And I just thought, Josh Tracy should have done a lot more than what he gave us. Respectfully, I like Josh Tracy. I'm a big fan of this dude, absolutely. But I'm getting annoyed every time I'm watching him play now. And it never used to be the case, but that's just the way I'm sort of flowing. And to quickly touch on Tabner as well. Look, it's all good and well to get a goal, but then to get a goal and get injured, when's enough? When does it become enough, right? When do we stop with the games here with Tabner in terms of him just being here? And I'll quickly read the comments before I get straight into it. DP, your microphone is choppy. Okay. Apologies. Sorry for that. I'll try and fix it. I hope it's not too bad there. Hopefully it's okay now. If it's not, I really apologize. Anyway, I want to try and summarize the game. So the game itself, right before we move into the preview against North Melbourne, the game itself wasn't great. It was actually a very poor game. And ultimately at the end there, I was left annoyed and very, very frustrated because Fremantle had the tools, the players, everything going for us. And we absolutely botched that. We botched a winnable game. Kudos to the Saints. I'm not taking anything away from them. They played with heart. They played with intensity. They played like a team that had everything to lose. And they absolutely gave it to us. And that is probably the most disappointing part of it all. Is Fremantle couldn't do much. And when we had possession, when we had opportunities to capitalize, we didn't. It's the way it went, which sucks, but it is what it is. Anyway, as we quickly turn into this, before I get into the tips and analysis of it, and I hope my microphone is not choppy now. I hope it's okay. Yes, we have the North Melbourne team, right, coming over to Fremantle, and we all know this is a bit of a special one here because we have someone called Griffin Logue, who's coming on board this time here, and obviously as an opposition player. Now, granted, if you watch the Kangaroos game against Eagles, he was okay-ish at best. I'll say even below average. And I just think for mine, awesome. Thank you, Caden. Appreciate it. Caden, just quickly, are you from South Australia by any chance? Anyway, in saying that, Fremantle have a lot of pressure on them. I don't know how to stress it enough. We are now under pressure. We are now under pressure against this Roos team who, granted, it wasn't the best showing against the Eagles, but it was still a win. It's something they can carry. It's momentum that they can carry in, and it's something they can use to sort of aim at. Fremantle were at home for the first time this year, up the stadium. Granted, a lot of things have happened. A lot of different things are happening now. It'll be the first time where Mundy is no longer playing with us as well in Fremantle, right, over and up the stadium. It's weird, but it is what it is. The evolution of the game, it is what it is. Anyway, as we sort of line up against this team here, I want to see a more heated, a more productive Fremantle team. Now, I'm just going to stress this enough, right? I'm going to stress this right now. I'm so upset at the fact that Fremantle are always going to be known as a team that can't win away from home. And another reason why I wanted us to win against the Saints was I want us to get that I suppose stereotype, if you will, off our back. But unfortunately, it's still there. And with performances like that against the Saints, you know what I mean? Like, it just sucks. And then we're obviously going to go back to the Optus now. And I think everyone virtually expects us to win. And it might be the case, though be cautious, I add. It still doesn't make me feel any better because I want us to actually be able to win at home and away from home. You know what I mean? I don't, Optus Stadium is a fortress, sure, but I want us to go out and conquer, right? I don't want us to be conquered away and then conquer at home. We need to be able to do what championship teams do, and that's win at home and away from home, right? I need to stress that. Anyway, I'll continue. So obviously, yes, this game here against North Melbourne, it is a very important one because now potentially Fremantle are going to potentially be staring down a barrel of a 0-2. 0-2 for the year, whereas North are looking to obviously go 2-0, right? So 2 wins for them. This game here for mine is a big one. The last time we played these guys was in May 6, and we won that game 102 points to 24. It was an absolute smashing, a beautiful game to watch. But you almost feel like, especially now, that the tide has turned. Now, we all know Fremantle, I think Longmuir is going to still be sticking with Nat Fyfe at forward, which is good. I don't mind it. Comment down if you're against it. I don't know. I don't mind it personally. I think it's actually beneficial that Fyfe still stays in the full forward. Let the mids grow. All right? Brayshaw, Sarong, please. And I don't mean this in a rude way, but toughen up, boys. Harden up. Eat some concrete and harden up. We need you guys to deliver. When push comes to shove, we need these boys here, these lads, these men here to deliver for us, right? We can't always keep on bringing that Fyfe conversation when things get tough. It's done. Sayonara. You know what I mean? So we got to move on here. So for me, this game here against the Roos, it's important that our midfield responds. The likes of Will Brodie, again, congrats. Beautiful that he's re-signed with us as well. Beautiful. But the likes of Brayshaw, Sarong, your usual suspects, right? As for our backs, I have full faith in them. Pierce, Young. Oh, Young is beautiful. I'm not going to lie to you. Young is top quality notch. He is good. He's good. Every time it feels like the forward line of the opposition is coming to us and I suppose almost making it harder. I just have this relaxation when Young is there. I just feel at ease. It's sort of like when I see Luke Ryan, right? Luke Ryan, I just feel that ease. You just know it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? Like I wish I could feel that way in the forward line. I really do, but I can't. I can't feel that way in the forward line. I actually don't feel that way. Another thing as well, I really need Darcy's hit outs. I need him to actually turn into something. I need him to actually be of some worth, of some significance. I also want to see Luke Jackson. I don't know what I saw of him against the Saints, but it wasn't Luke Jackson I know. You know what I mean? It's not the Luke Jackson we know. All right. And I don't mean to keep saying this, but we actually sold the house for this guy. So we need to see some payback. I want him to get into this game here, be in his element. I need him to be at his strongest here. As for the forwards, please kick the ball straight down the goals. It's a simple, easy wish list, and I'm hoping that this time around it can actually be, it can come to fruition. Namely, really, your Fredericks, right? Your Fifes. I'm not sure what's happening in Taberner, whether he's going to be out or in. If Josh Tracy plays, I don't know. For me, I spoke about it last week, but I'd have a revamp. I'd have the likes of Erasmus back, Johnson, yeah. Michael Johnson, that is. I'll bring back O'Driscoll, right? I just want to bring back players that actually bring life and zest into this team, particularly when things aren't going too well. I almost feel like some of the players in the midfield work well with some of these players in particular. That's called chemistry. And if you stuff it up, this is what happens. Now, I'm not making excuses for last week against the Saints, but I'm just saying that sometimes chemistry in teams is very important. Doesn't matter what code it is. So again, like I said, this North team, they're going to be using their mids, right? They're going to be high off that win there against the Eagles. Their forwards can kick. They can kick. Watch out for little Curtis there as well, by the way. However, I feel like for them, the Kangaroos, ironically, their trouble for them is in the defense, right in the back line. I feel like for mine, that's where we can definitely try and, do something, I guess. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, just to sum it up, it's about just coming back with a vengeance, but at the same time as well, hopefully things click and adjusting and changing squads, in my opinion, right? Bit of a change of players and all that stuff. Let's see what happens. But yes, that's the preview there. As for the prediction for me, quickly, I do predict that Fremantle win and will win well, comfortably. That's the hope anyway. So I'm really tipping the Fremantle for us to win. Simple as that. All right. Shoot the messenger. Oh, well, it is what it is. All right. Now we come in here to the AFL round 2 tips and previews. Again, this won't be too long, but we've got Carlton against the Cats. Now, this is an interesting one. Carlton, all of their fans are absolutely ruining that draw. As for the Cats, they were in the driver's seat until the fourth quarter. Until the fourth quarter when everything sort of went awry. It wasn't too good. It wasn't too flash for them, all right, in my opinion. However, in saying this game here is almost a certainty. This is going to test Carlton. This is going to test Carlton. Where they're at, really. You know what I mean? Like what sort of footy are they producing? And on top of that as well, conversely, how do the Cats respond? I guess for me, if I was tipping, I am tipping, sorry. I think for me, look, I'm sorry, Blues, but I'm going to go with the Cats with this one here. For me, I choose the Cats to win this game here. Unfortunately, though, for the Blue Baggers, as much as I know they really want this, I think the Cats are coming up with vengeance here. So, Cats for mine. The Lions against Melbourne. This is an interesting game, particularly from the Lions aspect. Obviously, they got their butts kicked over in Adelaide there. They're coming on home, right? And similar to Fremantle, a lot of people sort of know them as a team to win at home, but then absolutely get destroyed away from home. So, however, in saying that, Melbourne had a very good win, all right, against the Bulldogs. Granted, a few things to fix up here and there, but I think for mine, this is a good game here for the Lions to test themselves. And to see where they're at, if they lose this game, it's it's alarm bells. It really is alarm bells for me. So, in saying it though, who do I tip? Who do I sway with? I think for me, I wanted to pick. I might pick. I think I'll pick the Lions at home for this one here. Lions for me at home. I'm picking the Lions here. The next game, interesting one. Pies against Port Adelaide. Now, granted, both these teams, they had good wins, particularly Port. All right, a good solid win against the Lions there at home. The likes of Horn Francis as well, absolute shining, being a shining light there. As for Collingwood, they put on the afterburners later on in the game there, and it paid dividends in the end. As for how this goes, it's a tough one. But I don't know. I can't buy too much in the Port hype just yet. However, in saying that, I really do like what they've done. But it's a home game to the Pies, and look, I'm just going to sway that way. It's tough, though, because I really like what Port did. but I just need to play it safe here. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going for the Pies there. Next game here is the Crows against the Tigers. We all know this game. This game here is history, modern history, that is recent history, 2017, that is. Every time these two teams play, I love it. I love it. It was probably the game that made me fall in love with AFL, was the 2017 Grand Final. Now, the Crows against Tigers here, it's an open Adelaide. Now, granted, Crows didn't have their best performance against the Giants, right? The Giants were virtually legless, and it just wasn't enough for the Crows at the end there, embarrassingly enough. As for the Tigers, a good game against the Blue Baggers, yet it was a draw. Well, there's probably a lot of good things they could have taken out of that game. However, it is a home game for the Crows. And if you're going off what Port did, maybe you're leaning with the Crows, right? This is a very tough game for me because if I think about it too much, I'm probably not going to have a tip in the end of it. So I'm going to tip. How do we do this? We'll have to wait and see. Comment. Hey, DP, I found you through a video with Auburn Jaw. It's cool to see you talking about another awesome. I appreciate you, David. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, Crows Tigers. I'm going to go. Oh, look, it's tough. It's tough. But if Tigers mean business, then they've got to win this game, right? I wanted to lean towards Richmond, in my opinion. Next game is Bulldogs versus Saints. Now, obviously, Saints, a good win. Bulldogs, a scrappy loss, but still there was a bit of promise in that loss there, though. However, in saying that, obviously, the game in Marvel Stadium, these two teams, usually speaking, I think Bulldogs usually have the wood over them. In saying that, however, with this game here in particular, I do see this game as a rebound game for the Bulldogs. As for the Saints, I don't know, they may never play as good as they did against Fremantle. Again, maybe, I don't know, maybe they just saved it for Fremantle. But look, for me, I'm going to be tipping the Western Bulldogs here. I do believe they'll come back with a bit of bite this time around. Next game, Swans against Hawks. This is an interesting game. Both teams had good wins, right? Both teams look sharp, and both teams have a lot to play for this season. Now, it's a home game, obviously, over there in New South Wales, right? However, Swans do look the better team generally. Hawks, granted, a good win. Yeah. Sorry, apologies. Hawks. Sorry, I need to scrap that back. Sorry, Hawks lost. Sorry, unfortunately, yeah. Hawks had a big loss. Sorry, that was against the Bombers. As for the Swans, well, obviously, yes, they had a good win there against the Suns. I think this game's a pretty straightforward game for mine. I think I'll be tipping the Suns. I don't see the Hawks doing much at all this year, and I think I actually tipped them for the wooden spoon personally. Next game is the Bombers against the Suns. This is interesting. The Suns usually do rebound well. Momentum's definitely on the Bombers side here, but in saying that, if I was to tip, I think I'll tip Bombers. I think, yeah, Bombers won. Last game as well is Eagles against Giants before I finish this off. Home game for the Eagles. The Giants obviously coming off that win against the Crows, their injured players and all. How do they sort of bounce back? Can they do enough? This is the Eagles of old, right? Of last year. These are the questions that are running through my head. It's a home game, though, for the Eagles. You almost got to back them at home. So I think that's what I'll be doing. Going for the enemy here. Going for the Eagles. That'll be it. Anyway, look, in saying it, though, I thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it very much. I hope you guys took a lot out of this. If you didn't, that is okay as well. But again, thank you again for your time. I'll see you guys next time. And just remember, don't argue.